Welcome to episode 63 of the Comic Watchers Show. I'm your host, Matt. With me, as ever, are my fellow Comic Watchers, Nick and Mighty Mike. Gentlemen, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, once again.
Hey, we've got an awesome show this week. We're talking Guardians of the Galaxy #1. We're talking Wonder Woman number 750. But as ever, before we get into the meat of it, we're going to talk about the news of the day today. Mike, aka Scoop, what do you got?
Yeah, big news. Some decent stuff coming from Marvel. Takashi Okazaki, pardon my French if I mispronounce that, from Afro Samurai, maybe the kids out there have heard of that, is making his Marvel debut with Werewolf by Night. He's doing the cover for that. That is out, I believe, in April. It's about a young man who must deal with a family curse while trying to protect his community from a deadly threat. So the cover is really, really cool. It's definitely some of his work. You know it just by he's very detailed in what he does. It looks really good. Boom, we got some Buffy news. There's some one-shots coming in April entitled Buffy Every Generation. According to Janine Schaefer, the executive editor of Boom, just when you think you know everything about the Chosen One, a brand new character shows up, and the aim is to turn the whole universe on its head. So for all my Buffy fans out there,
as our resident Buffy and Angel nerd, we shall see. We shall see.
Right. We shall see, exactly. And something that I normally don't do, I normally don't hawk Trek, but as a comic watcher, I got to talk things, even Star Trek. That was a joke, by the way, Trekkies. Star Trek Deep Space Nine is coming back for a 4-issue miniseries from IDW entitled Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Too Long a Sacrifice. Basically, it's set during the Dominion War. It's going to show the station in its most troubled times. The crew is going to be on their breaking point. It's going to show a darker side of the crew. And even, the art looks pretty good. That's on the website as well. More information to follow. It's pretty much all we know, and that's pretty much what IDW has leaked, if you will, about the title. Got a couple, as always, we always got first looks and sneak peeks on the site. Marvel, we have New Mutants 6 out for a sneak peek. Star Wars solicits for April. If you want to know what's going on in the galaxy for April of this year, check out comicwatch.com. Some of the titles are going to include Star Wars 5, Bounty Hunters 3, and Darth Vader 3, just name a few. There is many other, obviously, Star Wars solicits, so definitely check the website out for that. A couple first looks are up as well. Marvel, we got Empire 1. That's hitting the shelves April of 2020. And also Batman 89 first look is up there as well. And before we cut off the news here, I want to give a quick thank you and a shout out to Adelso Corona, inker for Bloodshot, for following us on YouTube. We love Valiant, and hopefully Valiant definitely shows us love. We got Valiant Watch. For anyone who hasn't seen Valiant Watch, definitely make sure you turn in, check the show out. Especially, definitely 2020 is the year to get into Valiant. If you're not familiar, Quantum and Woody, Faith, Shadow, Bloodshot. It's so much to get into. It's a really dense universe with really, you can, I think I've said this before many times, you can literally pick up any Valiant book and start somewhere. So it's really, really good stuff. Thank you, Adelso, for following us and showing us love. That's the news. That's what I got.
Okay.
Gentlemen.
Did we have any word from the world of the Rob Father this week?
We got some Rob Father news. He's at it again-ish, which I thought that one of my favorite tweets was just right before, thankfully, we came on, was apparently the Obi-Wan Kenobi Netflix show has been kind of shelved right now. for unbeknownst reasons. They were just everyone. It was really cryptic, not really a whole lot to say, right? And then he kind of jumped on with the tweet of he asked, you have to wonder how Kathleen Kennedy keeps her job with her decisions. Now, as a fan, I champion the Rob father like no one other, but boss, you know, how do you say that about it's you haven't made a whole lot of terrific decisions in your career, sir. But
if there's
I digress.
Comics that should not be making passing judgment, I should say, about somebody else's business decisions, I think the Rob father is probably at the head of the pack.
Yeah.
We love you, Rob, but you need to stop. Check yourself.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And one more thing that I thought that was just one. He's going back and forth with a bunch of fans, or some are fans and some are just neckbeards in the basements, but they're kind of going back and forth on the 90s. Well, no, you got a good line, Matt. Don't worry about that. You got a good line. You're fine. Nick, you're all right, but Matt, anyway. But he was talking about how in the 90s, where Marvel courted its fans with gimmicky covers and foils and die cuts and stuff like that, where Image, kind of outsold Marvel by not doing such a thing. Now, I have boxes of stuff like Shadowhawk, and stuff like that with like foils and die cuts. So let's not pretend that Image didn't take, a turn down that avenue and was die cutting and had every chromium, come on. So I don't know. I fell down that wormhole and I had to put that in there, but it is what it is.
Listen, we've already resurrected the gimmick cover in modern times. If we're going to do it, just give me chromium covers back. I mean,
yes,
I love chromium covers.
Those new acetate covers are awesome. The Vampirella acetate cover is just so cool.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right. Into it again.
Well, Scoop, if that's it for the news, don't let me cut you off if it's not. Let's take you to our first book of the week. We are talking Guardians of the Galaxy #1 from Marvel, or number 163. Pick your poison. It is written by Al Ewing with art by Juan Cabal and Federico Blee. So, picking up shortly after the events of Donny Cates' last issue, obviously last month, we've got the Guardians enjoying some downtime. They're actually just chilling and getting to enjoy some family time, and Rocket is enjoying his new Miami Vice suit, and Nova shows up and says, guys, I need some help. Big trouble, big trouble. And the big trouble is the return of all people, the Greek god Pantheon. They're back. They have transformed into some kind of new crazy form, and they're really angry and destroying stuff left and right. And it's up to a certain ragtag band of heroes to jump in and save the day. So, first issue, new direction, new creative team. Donny Cates, for the most part, set the bar pretty high, I think. Mike, what do you think about Al Ewing's first issue?
Oh, sorry about that. Caught me off guard. Sorry. All right. No, I enjoyed it. This was really good. Always really been a fan of Al Ewing, especially as coming off his Immortal Hulk stuff, which was just superb stuff. I liked how he didn't try to get too crazy with this first issue. It was safe, but it wasn't so safe that it wasn't entertaining. And I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that, he didn't bring in, Surfer and, Beta Ray Bill and all, and just kind of really just do a bunch of fan lip service and go, hey, I can write a Guardians comic just as well as Donny Cates, or, stuff like that. But I really enjoyed taking the time with this, page by page, and just really enjoying that there wasn't, bubble upon bubble of words, and the art really, I think, complemented the storyline of just a tired Guardians team. They just wanted to hang out, have the barbecue. Here comes Nova crashing, going, sorry, but not really sorry. I need help, type of deal, And it was just good. There was some good, Rocket quips in there. He was talking about, sure, the kid has exploding toenails, but, this isn't enough. I mean, and you got to love the Miami, like you said, the Miami Vice suit. It was just good. And then you gotta kind of peek in on the Skrulls, and they're still blowing stuff up, and the Kree's kind of just hanging out. But excuse me. But when Nova comes and he's these fight scenes with Nova and Rocket staying behind, and Quill and excuse me, Moondragon kind of overexerting yourself, right? And you just started to just kind of really get in to the characters, and just kind of there was a good cadence towards the end that the book, I want to say start off slow, but I just felt the cadence was just timed perfectly in this book to where it just kept you interested. And then you're like, oh, wow, the Guardians are down. What's going to happen next? Oh, poof. Surprise, surprise. Here comes Hercules like the Kool-Aid man. And, and so now I'm like, well, maybe I'll stick around for issue 2, So this is going to be good. I think it's going to definitely be a series that everyone's going to, maybe not everyone, but I think a lot of people are going to pay attention to. And Al Ewing is Al Ewing. I mean, so his work definitely speaks for itself. But this was good. I enjoyed it. Definitely highly recommended. Obviously, if you're a Guardians fan, you like the Space Wars and stuff like that. But even new fans, I thought this was a good jumping on point. I didn't think that I've read Cates' Guardians in and out, but excuse me, I think this is a good jumping on point for new introduction, new fans. I did chuckle how Nova was like, oh, I can't get Beta Ray Bill, I can't get Surfer. See me in like 5 issues that you can't get Beta Ray Bill and Surfer, right? But no, overall, it was really good. It was fun. I'm definitely going to hang around for a few more issues, and it was well written. Highly recommended for anyone out there.
Yeah, I liked. I like how you said it played it safe a little bit, and I think that's worth pointing out because right now Al Ewing's been around at Marvel for years now, and he's always done kind of, I don't want to quite say esoteric, but definitely outside of the mainstream work. I think there's a good reason why he hasn't ever written a big event comic for them or something, and it's because he's kind of the guy that plays to outsider sensibilities, and I believe that has best been inhibited by his Immortal Hulk run, which is, for my money, the best Hulk run in over 20 years. Easily, bar none.
Yeah, no contest.
And that book is so wild and experimental and tightly plotted, and not at all what we would expect from a Hulk book, right? So you come to Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's a lot more straightforward what we would expect from a Guardians story, And that's not a knock by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a little bit of a shift for Al Ewing just in terms of his craft. So, Nick, what did you think about the issue?
Yeah, you kind of stole the words out of my mouth with Immortal Hulk, because I feel like this issue is part of a bigger reshuffling with Marvel. And I say that because it just happened to Deadpool, where you had doing that short 12-issue run, and then they end that and it goes over to Kelly Thompson because the artist is moving on to a bigger thing called Thor, Nick Klein. So this also happens with Guardians of the Galaxy and Donny Cates, where he has kind of a shorter run who gets pulled onto bigger and better things with Thor, but you've got Guardians of the Galaxy. So you get somebody like Marvel gets somebody who's doing solid work with Immortal Hulk, and they come stepping in for Guardians of the Galaxy. I think similar to how Kelly Thompson, who's really killing it on Captain Marvel, comes into Deadpool real quick. And, you can kind of see the shuffling happening behind the scenes. And for that reason, I felt like this Guardians issue was just a strict continuation of Donny Cates. It played really hard on those themes that he explored. they're going against this religion, somewhat ancient religion. So the big twist on this one is, how do you expand on that? Well, you take it from monotheism to polytheism, and then you go to the old gods. So it gets big in that sense. I would have loved that as a continuation of Donny Cates' volume. Like, I think it would have sat better within that narrative instead of, repackaging it and having to abide by these number one requirements. Let it really play into that story, and I think it would have worked better because that's what it's doing. It's building on the people who have followed Donny Cates' Guardians run. It's like Mike said, this is an exhausted team because of all of the events that have happened then. So, it's new reader friendly to the point where it's a Guardians number one. It's a new story, and you can jump in, and there's a couple of references to it, but it would have made more sense in context to just be a continuation and actually commit to that. And I think the act of both getting a new team to take over a flagship book like Guardians, you got to have a book on the shelf with Guardians of the Galaxy on it. And I think part of that reshuffling, and then the idea of, Marvel pushing another new number one, it just gets tiresome on the reading experience. So that's just it eventually impacts it. And I couldn't help but feel that in this one. I thought it was a really good story. It was a solid, if you're a fan of these characters, like, who doesn't want to see Rocket Raccoon in the big white suit like that? That was great. But there's great character development moments with Star-Lord and Gamora. Something's coming there. He admits that he left over a text. Like, that's coming back. But like, all of these things work because of, the predecessor. If you pull this volume out on its own, it really feels awkward because it relies a lot on the story that built up to it. And while it's cool, I love the old gods coming in and like these reinterpretations of Zeus and a bunch of other ones. I don't know if I'll stick around just because there's so many things that Marvel's doing, and this might just get lost in the shuffle. But fans of Guardians of the Galaxy will probably like to continue those characters, and it's worth it. It's worth the money if that's what you're looking for.
I think that's a fair assessment. To pick up on something you were mentioning, Nick, is the constant array of new number ones is exhausting to try to keep up with. I mean, it's gotten to the point where you don't even have to change creative teams at Marvel for them to slap a new number one on it. A simple status quo.
It's almost more exhausting if you are keeping up with it.
And I mean, the most egregious example of that was Spider-Gwen. Did 4 or 5 issues, ended for Secret Wars, and then later that year came back with her second number one the same year. I mean, that's ridiculous. Who can keep up with all that? There's no reason. And I'm going to get up on my soapbox a little bit, damn it. There's absolutely no reason why this couldn't have been issue 13. Period.
Yeah. Because
that's my little rant. And
no, I agree, really, because to be honest, like, it's exhausting for anybody wanting to jump in because you see all this stuff happening that's new number ones, and you don't really know what to do because it's almost overwhelming. Yeah. But also for the people who are keeping up with it, we get the gist. We understand what's happening here. We know what's going on.
Yeah.
And at some point, reading experience, and I don't know if Marvel's considering that. I don't know if that's crossing, their business decisions or something, but this issue feels weighed down by those decisions.
Well, it's a marketing decision. And we've gotten back to the point that Marvel was in the mid-90s, right before they filed bankruptcy, which of course isn't an issue now because they're owned by the Mouth House, but where the marketing department is driving the creative and editorial decisions. And that's a business. That's not a creative enterprise.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it for so long now. They're just not going to give up on this. Every couple 3 years they'll make some kind of concession to fans, and CB Cebulski will say, "Oh, we're going back to legacy numbering," and then literally 7 months later we're doing new number ones again. And you know what? Fuck you. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like with
It's a strain on the
with
industry.
Empire and all this stuff. Now Empire is supposed to be the biggest thing, and it's like how many biggest things can you have? How many number ones can? It's like you said. We had 2 number 1 Spider Gwens, and it's like even me as a Spider Gwen fan, I'm like that's dumb. Like you could have literally just kept going. Like especially I think Nick said it. Like you could have this could have been 13. This didn't have to be Guardians 1. Like stop making ones. They're like pennies. No one wants them. No one needs them. Just keep going.
One is meaningless and irrelevant at this point, as far as Marvel is concerned.
Right. It's cumbersome on the readers, on the industry, on comic shops. But it worked for their market share and their foothold in the industry, and that's the only thing it works for. And it leads you to say, a lot of these issues could be great, but they're restrained by these decisions. As Guardians 13, this one was an excellent continuation. That it's like if you haven't been reading Guardians up to now, you got to catch up. But you can't do that with it. You can't.
And like you were saying, Nick. I mean, eventually the constant new number ones and the constant volume, et cetera, and the annual creative team shakeups on these books, it gets exhausting. Give me a good long run from a single writer. I mean, and yes, Dan Slott was on Amazing Spider-Man for 9 years. I get it. But that's the exception these days, not the rule.
Yeah.
And you just don't see that sort of commitment anymore from the companies towards a certain writer, and it sucks. But we've gotten a little off topic here. That's on me.
Do I sense another theme show coming up? I mean, we're going to talk about the state of the comic.
Why not? It's one long shit for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Don't tip me.
It'll do great on the DC forum.
Episode 69, the Marvel fuck off episode. The art was really nice in Guardians of the Galaxy #1. Juan Cabal, he's got a really clean style. It's really different from Jeff Shaw in the previous volume. And I liked it. It was inoffensive. I'll put it that way. It didn't blow my mind at the same time, though.
Yeah, I thought it was great, actually. Like that part I was really into. There was only, I think, one wonky character expression of Star-Lord, but outside of that, I actually liked the all of the actual expressions, because I thought that intimacy with the Guardians being a family was sold by the visuals.
Most definitely. And I mean, it's apparent in their body language too, and that's something I harp on a lot in my reviews, is whether or not artists just can convey emotion through body language and posture and blocking, rather than just people standing around posing a lot. And that's the difference between a good artist and a great artist, in my opinion. Yeah. So, Juan Cabal didn't blow my mind, but he definitely got the job done. So, hats off to him. I will say, I really liked the inclusion of Marvel Boy in this. Super underutilized character.
Right.
I don't think we've seen him on page, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've seen him on page since Bendis was on the Avengers books. Novar has just not been around, as far as I know. But yeah, he's really, if you've never read Grant Morrison's original Marvel Boy miniseries from 2001, it was pretty cool. He's basically a terrorist, and this was before 9/11, when you could have a lead character blow up the United Nations building and still be the protagonist. And yeah, he did it. And then he learned the error of his ways and went to space jail, and then he got broken out and immediately became an Avenger. It was really crazy. But yeah, throwing him in here is a nice little X factor to the story, and I like the inclusion. And this is something that Al Ewing does really well: is pulling from the deep bench with his characters and really finding ways to make them shine. So if any writer can make Novar interesting and compelling as a character, I think it's going to be Al Ewing.
No.
So, guys, any final thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy numero uno?
No, I think we covered
Nope.
pretty much everything. I mean, a couple, it's definitely for the expletives, but yeah, I'm good to go.
Yeah, it got through. Sorry, kid. So, moving right along. Wonder Woman number 750. I got my Adam Hughes cover right here, baby. This is the big one, Diana. There you go. Diana, Princess of the Amazons, number 750, back to her original numbering. Speaking of moves that speak to the goodness of big numbers, for lack of a smoother term. So this is Steve Orlando's third official issue, not including the annual that kicked off his run. And it is part 3 of a story called The Wild Hunt, in which Cheetah has the God Killer sword because she wants to basically kill Hera because she believes that gods are using and abusing the faith of the faithful. And Silencer is there. And it's a really crazy, wild issue. And then there's, as a bonus, because this bad boy is 96 pages long, because it's a super awesome 80th anniversary issue as well. We got 8 backup stories in there as well. Now, I don't think we're going to talk about all of them at length. I hope we're not. We all remember what happened with Detective Comics 1000. I might not. Boy, Nick and I do. That was a long episode. Curiously, that one was expletive laden because of me as well, but for completely different reasons. So anyway, so let's get cracking on Wonder Woman 750. Nick, give me your thoughts on that. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, like, this is what you want out of a Wonder Woman book, right? Like, out of anniversary, DC's really got these anniversary issues down. I mean, Action 1000 was great, Detective 1000 was great, and I get what they're doing with Wonder Woman. She's not at 1,000 yet, but she's at 750, so let's celebrate it. It's the 80th anniversary. And they pulled together a great bunch of people. I mean, the creative talent on this book, I was kind of just excited to dive in and see all of the different flares that they all bring and everything. But definitely Steve Orlando kicks things off with the finale of The Wild Hunt. Really cool. I mean, who doesn't want to see Cheetah wearing the tiara and holding the God Killer sword? I mean, just some really cool stuff. I think it's an interesting run, and I think this is it pays a little bit of an homage to, I think, DC's better editorial decisions and what they're doing with their mainstay characters and their flagship books. Now, this is a continued process of just celebrating their longevity and not their ability to cultivate new number ones. And I think that's kind of where this one is like really successful, because it captures so many different elements of her historical impact. And yeah, some of them are action packed and just kind of fun issues that explore different themes of what makes Wonder Woman. But I think my favorite was the interrogation from Mariko Tamaki and Elena Casagrande. Oh my gosh, like that one was really cool. So it's like really plays into the theme that Wonder Woman ultimately on top, no matter what's going on, that manipulating Ares in a way that, to kind of figure out what's going on with that. I really love the twist on that one and just the angle.
Yeah. He thinks he's manipulating her, and in fact, it's the other way around. That was a really well sequence.
Like I love the angle that they approach, and I think a lot of these stories do that really well. One of the main ones I really wanted to ask y'all about, because I had some questions, was always the last one from Vita Ayala. Silver Swan, where has that character been my entire life?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the character.
Right?
She's not.
Is it the pool, maybe?
So yeah. I'm not sure. I'd have to do I should have done a little research on that, and I just didn't.
Honestly, I was gonna just use y'all as my research because I thought no better group, right? But that story
Okay,
is
good. I'm not the only one then, because I was thinking the same thing.
right, because I finished that one and I thought, I'll take a full spin-off on that book. Like, give me a 6-issue miniseries just continuing that.
Yeah,
I'm
that narrative is awesome.
Yeah, like I loved it. The artwork was great. It gives me like kind of the best part of the 90s. I think it's like a more fluid aesthetic version of the 90s, like powerful Jim Lee stuff. I really loved it. That was kind of I finished that one and I was like, ooh, this book ended on a high note, didn't it? Like this was really cool stuff.
Well, and that's the artist, just kind of interesting point. That is the artist MNK Nahuelpan, and I hope I didn't butcher that name too badly, but he's working with Steve Orlando on Gotham City series right now. So cool little cross-pollination there.
Makes sense. That like I really thought, you've got Riley Rossmo doing a story in this. You've got a lot of these crazy talented creatives that help define Wonder Woman, for a readership or audience today in her place in DC Comics today. And I think really harping in on truth was such a powerful thing, considering, the place in the media and entertainment in general, and that the social responsibility of this and what Wonder Woman means in today's age, that her new mission defined by her and not anybody else or these outside influences. I think her coming down to that realization of this mission is defined by me and it's going to be truth. A little vague, but I thought that when you look at it from all of these stories kind of coalescing into that one overarching theme, it really works well. And I thought they did a great job, giving it direction and allowing all these creatives to do what they do best and tell good stories. So it's, maybe they're not all for you. You're gonna like some of them less just because the art is so wildly different. Like these stories are everywhere, showing everything that comics can do almost. And it's not every story is for everybody, but it's well worth the money. There's, like I said, like 96 pages of just great Wonder Woman storytelling, so you can't go wrong with it. Just another solid anniversary celebration of the longevity of DC's characters.
Well, and well, to pick up on something you were saying, Nick, I was really impressed by just how thematically consistent and tonally consistent all of these stories were. Like Detective Comics for 1000, for example, was I hesitate to say all over the place, but it was a lot of different types of Batman stories. Whereas this one, it was pretty consistent throughout with its themes and just general narrative gist. And to me, that made this holistically work better than either Action 1000 or Detective 1000. So, whereas those kind of felt like samplings of their lead characters, this felt like the buffet. But Mikey, what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, this really, has literally a Wonder Woman for everybody. You got a DC bombshell story, you got an origin story, you had the feel good stories, but to end, the final chapter of the Wild Hunt. I mean, the creative team of Marino and Orlando and really just knocked it out of the park. DC. I mean, this book, these collections of stories, really felt like this wasn't an hour meeting at DC headquarters. This took some time. It felt like it was, they took time in grouping writers with artists that almost complemented each other. It's like you said. I mean, these stories were really consistent with each other that made for. But I mean, it was great. And then when she had the God Killer, it was like you felt, especially in the scene where, and I'm going to my notes here. They had her, where Barbara Ann was in Tai Chi's binding, I hope I pronounced that right. And Barbara Ann was like, just end it, and Diana was like, you're fighting against what you hated the most, but you became what you hated the most, and the whole lesson of, the truth shall set you free. You really peered in to Wonder Woman, wanting to kind of, like I said, set her free in a sense from herself, you know. But yeah, this was good. I absolutely loved Gail Simone and Colleen Duran's bringing back, excuse me, Star Blossom. That was really cool to see that whole storyline. Was really
interject with a question. Who is this little girl and where did she come from? Because I absolutely adored her. And
yeah, she was awesome. And double check, but I want to say her first was a few years ago. I want to say it was like an anniversary. It was an anniversary issue, like maybe right around the 75th anniversary issue or something like that. Cult when she debuted, it was just she kind of took off in a cult following. She was just a cool character. Gail Simone kind of take her and kind of run with that great story. It was just, seeing Wonder Woman sit down with good Southern comfort food, that's amazing. That's just amazing. But that was good. Yeah, this whole book, really had something for everybody. What's that?
Oh, I said, you said sitting down with comfort food and also mourning the death of her Megalodon.
Exactly. Which, and once again, you were kind of like, it's like Tornado Shark. But it's one of those things where you're like, oh, okay, but no, you felt sad for her, right? It was like a golden retriever in a sense for her. But yeah, it was just, this book had literally a Wonder Woman for everybody. The casual Wonder Woman fans are going to dig it. Your hard pressed Wonder Woman fans are just really good. It's a really, really well thought out book. DC really, just like I said before, they really took the time to really, and they really have a knack. I think Nick said this, that their anniversary issues are starting to become really, really good because they're just putting together some really good stuff. But yeah, really enjoyed this. And if I may, one last thing, the covers that all these even had me grabbing a few of the variants as well. And I'm a normal Wonder Woman reader, but yeah, just all the different covers they had for this was really just was really good, really beautiful stuff.
Yeah, they definitely pulled out all the stops. Man, they even got Ramona Fradon to contribute to one of the interior pinups. That's incredible. She's she's one of the last remaining Golden Age artists. Late Golden Age, but Golden Age, and she's in her 90s.
Right.
She's still signs at cons. Hell yeah, that's amazing. Just the sheer amount of talent in this book was phenomenal. Gail Simone, Steve Orlando, Greg freaking Rucka, Marguerite Bennett, Vita Ayala, Scott Snyder, and Brian Hitch. I can sit here and list every creative team, and you'd be like,
it's like a who's who, right?
Yeah, it was a who's who of talent. It really and truly was. The only story that really didn't land well for me was the what was the name of it? Emergency Visit by Shannon Hale and Dean Hale with Riley Rossmo on the art. It felt a little out of character for me that Hippolyta would fake of all these emergencies just to have mother-daughter time. And then I found out that these writers, they did the Diana, Princess of the Amazons, all ages OGN a couple weeks ago. And it's like, oh, that's why it feels a little more of a younger reader-centric story. It makes a little more sense now, and I'm able to forgive that. But Riley Rossmo was just more on his A game for this story, unfortunately. He is definitely an artist that needs to stick to more avant-garde work, a la Martian Manhunter, and I've never liked him on traditional superhero type stories. So that one didn't fit, but I mean that's 1 out of 9. You know,
Yeah.
whatever. I can forgive that. The I got to tell you guys, I was really, really hopeful when Steve Orlando took this book over a couple months ago, and then his first issue just did not land right with me at all. And I was like, oh no, what's happening? All my hopes and dreams have been dashed. This is terrible. Man, he corrected the ship in a major way last month. And in this issue, his conclusion to the Wild Hunt was just about as perfect of a Wonder Woman story as you could ask for. So, I mean, my hat's really, really off to Mr. Orlando and Jesus Marino and the entire creative team, and really to all the creative teams that contributed to this book, because it's just such a fulfilling, rewarding read that you almost don't want it to end. It's that good. And I can't say that about a lot of comics. I felt like from start to finish, this was if you met someone who didn't know the first thing about this character, you could hand them this and it would be the perfect primer. And man, just job well done by all parties. I could gush more, but I think that, if you're gonna spend $10 on a comic, by God, make it this one.
For sure.
So true.
Yeah,
that hurt though. With all the variants, that one hurt.
Oh, no. And yeah, get that Adam Hughes cover while you're at it. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah. We did. Trust me. This house is full of Adam Hughes stuff. Trust me.
I got to my LCS and I didn't have it on my pull sheet. They had one Golden Age or one 1940s and the one Adam Hughes cover left. That was it. They sold out everything else. I got their last copy and I mean, how many times you see that with a $9 or $10 comic? Come on,
right?
Madness. So I can't wait to see Diamond sales numbers on. I guarantee you they're going to be through the roof.
Oh yeah.
Oh, guys,
not higher than Major X.
What's that?
Should be good. I said not higher than Major X, but they should be good. But yeah, we'll see. We got to wait till the numbers come out.
It's a low blow.
All right, guys. Let's be nice to the Rob Father. We've already dunked on him once in this episode. So, all right. Well, that's it for our books to review this week. We're moving into our final segment. If we could pull ourselves together. Mike, what have you been reading and what are you looking forward to?
Well, surprise, surprise. I'm going to talk about Count Crowley again. Number 4 just wrapped up. What's that?
I said I bet you are.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I wasn't ready for it, but it ended in such a cliffhanger that if I can promote this, but definitely worth the read. As collected, or you want to get the single issues, just an all around great 4 issues. 80s ghoulish type of B-roll horror stuff. Really, really good. Excuse me. Looking forward to Kiss Zombies 3 is coming out. Those are always fun comics, not to be taken too seriously, but they're just a fun read. Kiss comics are fun. And in semi Rob Father related news, Simon Roy, who did Prophet, is coming out. He has his own book, Prophet, obviously from the pages of Youngblood. Has a comic coming out from Image called Protector, which looks really, really rad. Excuse me. It's a science fiction Mad Max type of thing from all the snippets that I'm reading. Oh, excuse me. So basically, these gods are kind of doing battle for, it almost reads like it's a sci-fi post-apocalyptic type of comic, but it looks really good. The cover looks really crazy, a lot going on, but it's an image cover. So there's 1,000 things that you could probably see differently every time you look at it sometimes, right? But yeah, Protector looks really good. Kiss Zombies 3, Count Crowley, good stuff.
Awesome. Nick, how about you? What have you been reading? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so while I was supposed to be catching up on some Quantum and Woody for the Valiant Watch show, I took a detour into Judge Dredd, Mega City 1 territory, and that is a rabbit hole. Goodness, that is some awesome stuff. It fits so well. I didn't expect to be a Judge Dredd fan because, like I said, I thought I'd always judged it on this surface level of like this pro-authoritarian story. It's quite the opposite. Like, yeah, it was so not what I thought it was. So when it clicks on, the kind of the satire look at America from an outside perspective, when I realized that's what's going on, like 3 days went by before I saw the sunlight again. Like, it was like dangerous stuff. But like, there are a lot of different classics that I think are worth reading in Judge Dredd. Like, there are a lot of different classics I think in Judge Dredd. I've been hitting it. Our own comic watcher Ross, running the press corps, gave me the heads up on kind of what to check on or what to check out on this deep dive for Judge Dredd. Started way back in the early progs and going back to the Robot War and the kind of like the first epic that they did, and then the Return of Rico that you see a little bit in the Stallone movie, which was terrible, but I've watched like 3 times anyway. But like, I've been really diving into that. And the Batman Who Laughs, I didn't realize the Batman Who Laughs is so heavily influenced by Death, the Judge.
Oh yeah, Death.
Like almost carbon copy.
Yeah.
It
Can
really
I copy your
is.
homework? Yeah, but change some of the answers.
And even though like there's all these different judges like that, but yeah, so that is kind of, I know that I should be doing some Valiant Watch stuff, but Judge Dredd pulled me aside, and I'm trying to get focused now. What I'm looking forward to, Fallen Angels is ending, so that's it's coming to an end, and it set up something cool. It collapsed in on itself, and hopefully X-23 and Psylocke and Kid Cable, if you're a fan of that, are on to bigger and better things. I know there's some new cool stuff coming out with the Dawn of X is exploding into even more titles and unraveling into more tangled goodness for the X stuff. So good stuff coming for that. But also one last one, Frankenstein Undone. That is Mike Mignola picking back up on the his Frankenstein Underground, I believe. And that is really cool to see.
Very
Mike
cool.
Mignola take on the kind of the classic Frankenstein material. Like, really neat stuff.
Awesome. Can't wait for that. So I have been reading Family Tree from Image. It's started just 3 months ago. It's written by Jeff Lemire and art by the mighty Phil Hester, and it is really cool. Like, it has to do with, and I can't even explain this without sounding insane, but it has to do with a little girl who starts slowly turning into a tree, and her mother and brother, and then the father-in-law, or rather their grandfather that they've never met before, rushing to try to save her, and it just kind of it all ties into the kid's father's disappearance, and we find out in issue 2 that he himself had this disease and turned into a tree, And what does that mean? Is he actually turning into a tree, or what's happening here? Is it some kind of chrysalis? It's really different and very, very heartfelt. And like it's just about anything Jeff Lemire writes, it's really unique and awesome. And I love this series. It's hot out of the gate in terms of its creativity, and I highly, highly recommend it. What am I looking forward to this week? I am defying my usual pattern of picking a DC book, and I am saying Sex Criminals number 26. The book is finally returning from Image. Matt Fraction, Chip Zdarsky. This is the last arc. This comic is awesome, and it is definitely R-rated and really not for everybody, and I totally get that. And it has had the crappiest shipping schedule imaginable since its debut in 2013, and it's only just now on issue 26, if that tells you anything. But there is so much imagination and heart put into Sex Criminals, and it's not what you think. Don't get fooled by the sexy shenanigans. I've really been looking forward to the conclusion of this story for a long, long time, and I can't wait to see how it plays out. So, yeah, that's me for the week. So, gentlemen, any final thoughts? Words of wisdom? All right.
Go check out the Bloodshot poster coming soon.
Yeah. But you know what? Check out our sister show, Valiant Watch. It's really awesome. Nick's on it along with Ken. And you know what? They're just out there doing the Lord's work and talking about Valiant and connecting with that fandom in a really awesome way. That's a really supportive and inclusive fandom, and they just like sent a bunch of free swag to Nick because Valiant. So you know, check that show out if I can toot our horn a little bit. Do it. So this has been episode 63 of the Comic Watchers Show. Comic Watchers Show is a part of comicwatch.com. Pro news and reviews written by fans for fans. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.